Much for this kind introduction. My name is Christoph. I'm with Wonder Workshop, and yes, Wonder Workshop builds robots. We build robots which we refer to as clever bots, which kids, girls and boys equally use to learn coding. Starting off with the fundamentals, obviously, but towards playing with them, and from stage to stage, our robots take kids to learning Java as well, which is like the maximum they can achieve. Today what I'm doing is I'm basically using this opportunity to introduce the company, the robots, the products, what they're doing, and to specifically talk about the elements of AI which we are incorporating into the play so we can facilitate the learning experience of children. Some of the backgrounds regarding the company. Wonder Workshop is a Silicon Valley-based company. So headquartered in San Mateo, California, founded in 2012. As of right now, having operations obviously in the US, so in Europe and the Asia-Pacific room. When referring to Wonder Workshop, in the most fundamental way, refer to it as an education startup. That's what we're dedicated to, that's what we're doing. At the same moment, we're obviously into hardware, we're into robotics, but still consider us being more a software than a hardware company, given that the software, the apps which children use, is where the learning is happening and where the actual value of our products is created. The robots, which we have here on stage as well, obviously, is Dash, the blue one, it's Dot, the small green one, and it's Q, the black one, which we're focusing on. Quickly focusing on the timeline, what is behind it and what brought us to the point which we're standing at today. It was Vikas, being in the top left corner, who 2012 started the company. Back then, him with the vision after selling his first venture and spending time with his first daughter, with the vision that his daughter, growing up in a digital area, should learn about these fundamentals of the things which are happening around her. It was never his intention to start a company which goes into robotics, which creates hardware. He was purely focused on the learning, on the ability of kids to learn ages 6 to 11 and up, learn easily, learn while having fun, and make sure that this can happen because nothing back then was around which was at all targeting at kids that age. The first product, which is Dash, went live in 2014. Went live in the US back then, started with a huge Kickstarter campaign before that actually, which brought it some good marketing as well. In Germany right now, we're live with the operations since 2016. At the same moment, we started the Asian operations and step by step increased our focus to the various European countries, basically right now being present all over Europe. In 2017, we introduced a new product, which is Dot Creativity Kit. Dot Creativity Kit being the little green one, which is targeted at younger, slightly younger children. So we refer to it as the age group of 6 to 8. It was followed in 2018 by Q, which is our latest product development, which then focuses at ages 11 and up, so at the teenage age. Throughout all this is like the hardware channel. What's important to notice is that parallel, we further develop the software. Each and every app update obviously brings it further. This peaks into Teach Wonder. Teach Wonder is the latest development we made, which is an online course for learning and for teaching the teacher. So teachers with us start to learn how to work on ICT in school. And this is kind of the full solution which we're offering and the full background on what we are doing and how we think about the market and how we think about solving these problems. We don't only create this hardware, we work on a full solution with all the contents and curriculum guides behind it, which then can be used either in school or at home for facilitating the learning. The share of robots being used in school versus being used in the private household is pretty much equally spread. It's close to a 50-50 share. That's what we are very proud of, given that especially the robots in school tend to be in touch with a lot more children, which is good, given that they can learn something. Well, but besides all this background, let's kind of deep dive into, okay, what is it and what's happening with the robots. This is a screenshot of one of our apps. So that's basically how kids start with Wonder Workshop. When starting with the robots, and this would be, for example, starting with Dash, very important to us is the ready out of the box concept. So kids start in minute 1, and the way they are introduced is like in a very childish, colorful, playful manner. There are certain explanations in there which do take place, but all this is something where children, they should read and write, but we heard of many children who don't even need to read and write, but just from the pure symbolic language can handle this. And this is basically now already jumping into code. Already jumping into code, part of our app Wonder, this is a piece of code which children can program, and where you kind of see like intuitively, well, this is all like symbolic language, extremely colorful. You drag and drop the symbols. At the beginning, there's a lot of explanation happening. Later on, kids don't need this explanation anymore and just continue programming that. Here you see, for example, one of the things which is possible with the robots, like all the lights which are in there, you can program them individually regarding the colors. So Dash does something, is green, gets red, back and forth, changes it. This, besides sensors, is all the stuff which is built in there, which kids are using. That's how we start. Going further, kids get introduced to Blockly. Blockly is our app which introduces block-based programming. Already something where grown-ups tend to feel a lot more comfortable with, given that it has a clear structure, and we especially see how things are following up. There is some functions in there. There is a nice repeat function in there. The call function is used, so on the right side something else is happening. So coding already with that can get decently complex, I'd say. It can start building up, and still with the colors involved, children can get into it quite fast. And whatever they have in mind from their daily play, from their own creativity, they use it within Blockly to program and let the robot do whatever they feel is necessary. Or get a challenge from a teacher or parent and start working on this challenge, start solving it, maybe start solving it in a team, but start working on this code. The next step is then actually taking them further. This is with Robot Q, and now the block-based programming stays similar. Like on the left side, what you're seeing is the same logic of blocks. The design, obviously, a little more grown-up, a little more teenager-like, not so colorful, a little more straightforward. What's happening in this app, which is extremely important and which is something we're proud of as well, I have to say, is that this app switches from one moment to the other just by one tip on one button, basically, from this block-based programming to Java, the Java coding language, which is on the right side. And kids just jump back and forth, seeing the blocks which they got used to, seeing the blocks which they maybe used before in school with some other stuff, and then get into this Java language, can kind of compare how they look like. And when start to continue the Java code, it auto-populates and tells them, well, this is the actions you can use, this is the commands you can use, this is how you can go forward. So that's basically where they, just by play, get into looking at Java and then quickly realize, hey, you know what? I'm a lot faster and a lot more straightforward when taking this code and just do it directly. That's something totally unique that kids, while playing, start getting used to Java. Well, but still, right now, something is missing. I mean, let's get back to this AI element. Where does it actually act? Because I right now outlined, hey, what's the path kids can be going? Well, where we especially focus on AI is around the engagement factor. Engagement is for us something which we believe in is being super, super important towards learning. As long as kids are engaged with our products, they learn, because kids learn automatically. And engagement for us has like two dimensions. The one dimension is something like a short-term dimension. Starting off with playing right away is very important. We don't believe in constructing something. We don't believe in getting wires out of the box, starting to connect wires. We don't believe in building blocks. We believe in take the solution out of the box and start playing, start having fun. And at the same moment, we believe in that engagement has to be around steady increase of complexity. If the game gets boring, if the play gets boring, then kids don't stay engaged and the learning is limited. That's why we increase elements of AI into the robot to keep the engagement also high with teenagers. What does that mean? Well, specifically with Q, we work a lot on giving him a personality, making him respond to what kids want to interact with him, making him like telling jokes, like playing games, and like actually reacting to what other children in the app want to work with him or want to communicate with him. How does it work? It works via chatting. Chatting, as one of the most natural things teenagers these days grow up with, is the first way how they interact with Q, and on a obviously kind of low level, also the first way how they code Q, because they just enter code like drive forward 100 centimeters and do this and that into the chat experience, and Q is able to do it. Q is able to perform it. At the same moment, he can respond to it. This personality is something which we believe in is very important. Furthermore, there is elements of autonomous behavior built into Q. You can have this robot by very, very simple means drive around like an autonomous vehicle, the sensors understanding if there's obstacles in front of him and him being very smoothly driving around these obstacles because he kind of sees them. Going a little deeper into these interactions, because that's kind of where the fun of the whole thing is. When being in the app with Q and chatting, there is a lot of things you can do. Controlling him. Simple controlling, very straightforward. Interacting with him, asking him stuff. Q, can you sing a song? Yes, he will sing a song. Q, do you have a fidget spinner, like this turning thing? Well, Q's obvious response to that is, no, I don't, but I can be a fidget spinner, and he starts spinning around full speed, playing a song, turning his head, and going all crazy, because that's what he can do. The best thing usually is when interacting with Q and talking with him about other robots, because obviously other robots is what he likes as well. That's where there is built-in emotive AI, which powers as an engine, which powers this chatbot functionality and gives Q the personality which we think is very important for kids to stay engaged with that robot. And when seeing all that, well, where did it take us to, and where are we standing at today with our robots? Well, the company is around for quite some time by now, and yeah, we made it to WWDC, Apple's conference, developer conference last year, where we were featured being part of the Swift Playgrounds compatibility. Yes, we've been part of the Big Bang Theory. We're one of the few topics, I'd like to say, which allows Barack and Melania to agree upon that it's a good thing. Well, both Barack Obama and Melania Trump liked doing the workshops with our robots to get a little deeper into coding. And besides this, obviously, at the core, it's still a lot about girls, boys equally, and at the same moment, older people, which we see engaging with our robots, and at the moment of the engaging, learning something which is new to them. Well, and basically, finally, a thing on a outlook. Where do we, as a company, see this whole thing going with a next, or like the next big steps which are out there? Well, right now we see kids interacting with these personalities. In the current state-of-the-art robot, there is already various personalities built in, so children start switching between them, start understanding how the personality works. Personalizing these toys will become natural. It'll become all natural for the children to themselves create these personalities and work on them. It'll get all natural to them when going ahead of the coding to work on these personalities and to work on how does all that, or how does the robot react, what does he learn, how does he do something. This will be the like next big step, where this whole coding thing for kids can become to a next level. And yeah, this is like the next digital tools which we are working on and which we're trying to build. This is nothing which is like 12 months ahead of us. This is way further away, but still we started off in a world where nothing like this was present, and this was just in 2012. And since then, basically managed to build these robots which by now teach thousands and 10,000s of kids around the globe the fundamentals of coding and how to understand these. So that's the overview of Wonder Workshop, of our products, of the philosophy behind it, what we do, and how we use these elements of AI and emotive AI to teaching kids something. At the end, it's all about getting creative. It's all about creating something. So let's be creative and let's start something. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Christoph.
Thank you.
So we still have a couple of minutes. Are there questions in the audience? Raise your hand, please, there, first row.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is, because I also work a lot with children, obviously those robots and AI and programs like Khan Academy or what you are doing can teach kids tools that they can use, like math or writing, even grammar, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think that robots in the future will also be able to teach social skills like empathy? Do you think that's a field where robots will evolve, where it can be a possibility, or do you think that's something that should be left to humans, if you want to say so?
I think the answer is all about the how much of the future are we talking about. And as I already outlined, like what do I see as an outlook on the products, how they're evolving. This is not like the 12-month development schedule which we have in the company. This is like a little further ahead. And I think what your question is referring to is further ahead and is so far ahead that I can't come up with it or I can't imagine it, and I've never seen something like this around our company where any one of those who's really crazy and really deep into the topics ever focused on that. Currently, what we're actually working on and what we're focusing a lot on is exactly what you said. It's both the code to learn and learn to code elements, where code to learn is the understanding the fundamentals. There is something like a loop. There is something like debugging in code. There is something like if statements, if functions. Afterwards, and this is exactly what teachers and the education sphere needs, you just use that to teach other things. For example, when teaching geometry, in a triangle, you can talk with kids about the sum of the angles, the 180 degrees. You can also tell them, please program the robot to drive a perfect triangle and stop at the exact position where he started off. This only works if the sum is at 180 degrees, and if kids figure that out, they understand the triangle as well. And teachers can use it in class, can teach coding while teaching something else, which is a lot better for the whole curriculum thing, because always people come up and say, they have to do this and that and add this to the curriculum, but actually don't have an answer on how to save on time and how to take something out as well. So it's very far away.
More questions from the audience. Maybe a question on my behalf. Yes, you come into different markets. Germany, I think, is concerning the teachers, a particularly difficult market. In your experience, why is that?
Oh, you're asking about my experience.
Yes,
this is awesome.
How are German teachers reacting to robots in class?
For me, it feels like in Germany, when thinking about engineering, what the average German teachers or parents, and I mean right now we're preaching to the converted, so this is not the audience we should consider. When thinking about engineering, they think of the Porsche, the BMW, the Mercedes, which is actually pretty good, yeah? But then they think about, hey, if I want my kid to build a car, I should buy him a screwdriver, because he needs that screwdriver, especially he needs that screwdriver to become an engineer. The fact that software engineering is like the future of everything and the future of how our world works and connects is not really in the German mindset. For us, it's not even about having this education, the software education just like earlier, but for us it's about teaching basics to children which they, like 10, 15 years from now in their work environment, just will need fundamentally to get along and to understand what's happening in this digital area. That's what we're so much keen on, and that's, I think, which is something which especially in the German fear just never arrived at the level of parents.
You mentioned something interesting because I think the toys market is something that heavily works with cliches. You might find the same toy once in pink for the girls and in blue for the boys. It's something that really companies use. So how is it for you? Like, what do you think? How many boys do play with these robots? How many girls do play with it? What are the reactions in reality?
Well, I'm able to share it's really close to 50-50. It's 45, 48 to 52, which we know that girls are playing with these robots, so this is an equal share. We're very proud of the design of Dash, I have to say. Why that? Because it's a design which was made for both genders to be equally attractive. Because we just don't believe in this, make it purple, put a Barbie on top of it, and then it's a girl's toy. We just don't believe in that. Of course, it's difficult still to have girls stick to the topic for a longer time, but here we're talking about fundamentals, about understanding fundamentals, and this is something which is, I'd almost say, easily possible. And for girls, it's equally possible. There's no difference between girls and boys when picking up these basics.
All right, thanks a lot, Christoph, for coming here, for sharing your insights.
Thanks.